program. We'll tell you why. Good morning, Colorado. It's 8 a.m. Saturday, August 27th. I'm Angelica Lombardi. Bonnie Silkman has the morning off. Let's go ahead now and take a live look outside. This is Pueblo, courtesy of our Riviera Wireless Network camera. You can see clear skies, blue skies. Beautiful way to start this weekend. Time now is 8:01. Let's go ahead now and take a look at weather. We'll check in with Marty V. And Marty, what can we expect today?
Warmer air, I think, and that'll be true for the next couple of days, actually. And we started that process yesterday. I mean, it wasn't bad. Still, temperatures were coming in a little bit below seasonal averages. Highs were in the 70s and 80s along the Front Range. And mountain areas, in some cases, were only in the 50s and 60s. And, of course, we did manage a few thunderstorms in the afternoon. It's been cool this morning. It's 51 degrees right now, peak internet. Up on top of Gold Hill there in Woodland Park, the wind is out of the west at 7 miles an hour, so just enough to sway the trees. 54 degrees in Colorado Springs, a little hazy this morning. Did wake up to some dew on the car, had to run the defrosters. But probably at this point, that's all drying off of the cars if you left them out last night. And we're in for a pretty nice day today. It's just a really nice start. Skyscan shows very little left over from yesterday's activity. As we've seen through the camera network, there's not that much cloud cover out there. But what we do have is some of the water in the air. And water vapor imagery picks that up as the milky white that you see. So that's the monsoon stuff. And we certainly expect it'll be enough to fire off some spotty storms later on today. So we're in the 60s right now. We'll be in the 70s to lower 80s probably around lunchtime, and then get to near 80 in Colorado Springs. Should be well into the 80s in Pueblo. Storms that do develop today are not likely to be terribly strong. If you do get a decent cell overhead, frequent lightning and some bursts briefly of locally heavy rain. If one of those things should drift over one of the local burn scars, then we could have some concerns with flash flooding. But I think for the rest of you, it'll just be an inconvenience. Chase you inside for a while. As we head into the work week, we should cool a little bit. We'll talk more about that in our 7-day forecast coming up in just a bit. Angelica, back to you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Marty. Well, now to new information this morning. Investigators in Mississippi report that a man has been arrested this morning in connection to the murders of 2 nuns. Investigators say 46-year-old Rodney Earl Sanders is now facing 2 counts of capital murder. Sanders is accused of killing Sister Paula Morell and Sister Margaret Held, who were found dead in their home Thursday morning. Police initially said they were victims of a break-in and car theft because their cars were found 1 mile from the crime scene. Investigators believe that Sanders acted alone. He will be appearing in court on Monday. Well, some sad news this morning out of Utah. Authorities have identified a Colorado woman who died while saving her son from drowning after a boating accident. 35-year-old mother and attorney Kelsey Russell from Colorado died this week while rescuing her 2-year-old son who fell overboard in a Utah lake. The tragic accident happened Tuesday when the mom had been boating with her family at Lake Powell in Glen Canyon National Recreation Area. At one point, the 2-year-old boy suddenly fell overboard and the mother immediately jumped into the lake. Russell held her son above the water until her brother, who was in another boat, came by and pulled him out. Police say her quick action saved her son, but she did not survive. Today, Motor City auto dealers and related merchants in the Springs hope to recoup some of the business they lost during yesterday's fuel spill. That spill from an overturned tanker shut down Motor City Drive, forcing many Motor City shops to close just after 1 in the afternoon. Authorities and at least one witness say the driver may have taken a curve too fast. He was taken to a hospital. No word yet on his identity or condition. Of course, Friday is one of the busiest days of the week at those auto dealerships.
We've lost a half a day. You don't get those back, and so it's especially going into the weekend. You know, people wanted to get out of town and maybe had to get a couple things done to their car or get a new car for a weekend trip. So so we're going to be scrambling this afternoon, and it's going to put a little more pressure on tomorrow.
Authorities are checking to see whether a drain in the stormwater system may have trapped some of the fuel. The spill of gasoline and diesel fuel happened around 4 o'clock yesterday morning. A couple wanted in connection to a murder and kidnapping investigation in California are now in custody in Pueblo. Police say their arrest is a fortunate side effect of having their crime task force out on the streets. The Safe Streets team, which includes police, sheriff, and other law enforcement agencies, was out at the Cozy Motel on Lake Avenue as part of their regular weekly efforts. They were making contact with some other people when they came across 27-year-old Joshua Robertson and 22-year-old 14-year-old Brittany Humphrey. They're suspected of killing Humphrey's half-sister and kidnapping her children. Pueblo Police Sergeant Eric Gonzalez says it's always great when the Safe Streets has the opportunity to make these arrests.
It just happened to be, like I said, our Safe Streets was out doing it, and it was by the graces of having them folks, the extra help on the street that day, that we happened to come across this. And usually when we have the Safe Streets task force out, good things happen.
Both Robertson and Humphrey are still in Pueblo this morning, awaiting transfer back to Los Angeles County. And new this morning, Colorado Springs police are investigating a shots fired incident that was reported in the 2000 block of Farrington Street, which is near the intersection of Fountain and Powers. Police tell us that they found multiple shell casings at the scene and had both ends of the street blocked off around 2 this morning. Investigators have not said if they've identified any suspects at this time, but there are no reports of injuries. We'll, of course, continue to keep you updated as we learn more. A Colorado Springs driver was cited by police following a rollover accident involving an ambulance. The crash happened around 8:30 last night at the intersection of North Academy and Palmer Park. Investigators say the ambulance was about to clear the intersection when it was hit by a vehicle driving southbound on Academy. The ambulance was knocked over onto its side. No patients were on board at the time. Police say the driver failed to yield for the ambulance and was cited. Several people were treated for minor injuries at the scene. A Colorado Springs woman has been cited after police say her dogs attacked an animal law enforcement officer. Investigators say that the officer was responding to a call for service in the 900 block of South Arcadia Street yesterday afternoon. While the officer was on scene, a neighbor identified as Tammy Davis invited the officer into her yard. After that, investigators say she let the two dogs out and both immediately attacked the officer. He was bitten several times during the incident. The owner was cited for possession of a dangerous animal, and the dogs were taken into custody by the Humane Society. Looking ahead today, a vigil in honor of the life of Kelly Schilling will be held in Pueblo. It will be held at the Southside Walmart at 7 p.m. Schilling disappeared in February of 2013, and the search for her is ongoing. Well, the state fair happened yesterday. It kicked up, and it's going to happen as well as today and into the weekend. There's a lot in store with the first 3 parades starting throughout the weekend. KRDO News Channel 13's Katie Spencer is live in downtown Pueblo where the parade is starting this morning. And Katie, how's it looking out there?
Yeah, Angelica, good morning. I've seen floats setting up in the area, and they are just beautifully decorated and colorful. So far, there are 100 floats, bands, royalty, and local organizations involved in the parade this year. The parade starts here at B Street and Union Avenue at 10 o'clock this morning and ends at 8th Street. There will be prizes for the best floats, including youth organizations, civic or community organizations, and commercial. The State Fair is one of the oldest parades in Colorado and is put on with the help of the Chamber of Commerce. Like you said, there are 2 other parades throughout the week. There is the Kids Parade and the Fiesta Parade, so if you can't make it out to this one, there are other opportunities to have some fun. And Angelica, we all know that marijuana is a hot button issue in Pueblo right now, and there's a pro-marijuana group, Growing Pueblo's Future, that has a float in the parade this morning, so even the parade's becoming a little political. Reporting live in Pueblo, Katie Spencer, KRDO News Channel 13.
All right, thanks so much, Katie. And that fair